2024 will be a decisive year for Elite Dangerous. There are so many possibilities of what could happen. A status quo, pulling the plug, a whole new game, a new expansion, open source mods, and so on. So let's talk about what will and should happen.
Hug for Bug.
Hello everyone, welcome to Hug for Bug. In my previous video, we talked about what was happening at Elite. You can access the video in the right corner. Today, we will evaluate the future of Elite and some of the options from my point of view. To evaluate very briefly, Elite is in recession period today. Although everyone has an opinion about it, I don't think anyone knows exactly what the situation is at Frontier, and we are speculating more or less. However, talking about Elite's future can be a basis for meaningful development rather than speculation. The Elite community has been discussing the game for a very long time, and the most important conclusion I have drawn from these discussions is the majority are waiting for something to happen and wants to get an idea about the future of the game. For me, it's time to make a decision. And I think this decision must be made now, since this status quo took long enough and it's ruining the game image. First, let's talk about the decision to make no decision at all, and that is the status quo. In this option, Frontier continues to manage the game with a daily vision, adding small additions time to time, and continues to watch from a distance. This is actually not a decision, but works for the developer, because this option requires almost no resources. This obviously will lead to nowhere, and the players who support it today will slowly leave the game. Unfortunately, we very well know that this is most likely to happen, and I hope it won't be the future of Elite. Second option is pulling the plug. Of course, I'm not talking about the game disappear completely. That does not happen in gaming world. But this option means there won't be a developer team for the game anymore, no updates, just maintenance with minimum amount of personnel, minimum server capacity, and leaving the game to its own fate. Actually, it is a decision, but the worst one. I don't think it's going to happen, but if the first option, status quo, becomes too expensive, it's not entirely impossible. The third option is Frontier making the game open source for modding. The Elite community is one of the most capable and creative community in the gaming world, and there are lots of developers waiting for this. Surely it will provide some momentum to the game, and there is a big demand for that in the forums. I think this may come out great for Elite, but honestly, I don't think this would happen also, since Frontier would not want the game out of its control. The fourth option is selling the game or make a deal with a small developer studio. Elite franchise is almost 40 years old, and Frontier invested a huge amount of resource on it. So, selling the game is out of the question in my opinion, unless it comes a point that Frontier needs the cash badly. Even then, the price would be so huge that only a couple of studios can afford it. Making a deal with a small studio to develop the game, with total control of Frontier, is an option, and it's not a bad one. There are lots of great small studios that are willing to do this, and it may happen. The fifth option is making a whole new Elite game. This is the most expensive solution obviously, and it needs immense amount of resource and time. I think it's about time to talk about a new Elite chapter, and a new Elite game is not out of the question. The game engine is old, and it is unable to meet the standards of today. Honestly, this option would be my choice, but I don't have a couple of $100 million and a studio, so I hope someone does. This decision is the hardest one, but I think Elite brand value is huge and will meet the expectations. The sixth option, and the last one, is making a new expansion. With new ships, new places, maybe ship interiors, and some solid exploration elements, a new expansion would give lots of momentum to the game. But I don't think Frontier is eager to do so, at least not at the moment. Thanks for watching, Commanders. Please subscribe and like if you like to support my channel, and thanks for not losing hope on Elite. See you.